Hello everyone. Welcome to this video wherein we are going to talk about how to analyze a mock CET. I'm sure a lot of you have taken mocks by now, but if you don't analyze those mocks properly, it's not going to help you much. To derive the maximum benefit out of the mock taking exercise, you also need to spend considerable time analyzing what you have done. So I will talk about what are the four things that you need to keep in mind once the test is done to derive the maximum benefit. Let's get started. The first thing that I want you to focus on is to reflect. Now, what I mean by that is once the mock is done, first of all, take a small break because the mock is tiring in nature. So it's important that you take some break just to get a little refresh. And once you're done with that, make sure that you have a book in which you're writing some of the observations from the mock. Now, what kind of things will you be writing? It can be something like this. For example, changed my section attempt order and could not keep a track of time. So basically what I'm doing is I'm thinking what are the mistakes that I've done and I'm trying to put those in words. It can be something like spent unreasonable amount of time on one LR set based on arrangements. So I want you to be very critical and write down the mistakes that you've done. Maybe it could be something like this: panicked midway because the attempts weren't as per my expectations. Or it could be even a highlight. It could be a good thing. For example, did quite well on the data interpretation approximations. Now, what this will do is it will give you a sense of what are the things that are going right and what are the things that are going wrong. At the same time, this kind of stays at the back of your mind while you're preparing. So it helps you to prepare in a better manner if you know, okay, these are the things that I need to improve on. Now, once this part is done, we move to the next step, which is record. Now, this is the most important step. Here, what we'll do is we will make sure that we create a table in which we're going to write down the performance in terms of quantitative numbers. So the first thing before you do this is to solve all the remaining questions which you could not solve. So let me show you that table and tell you how to fill it. So the table that I want you to create has three components. First of all, it talks about the things that you have done in the paper. Now, this is your genuine attempts and how many of those attempts are correct. For example, maybe you have attempted, let's say, 120 questions. Out of 120, you have got 90 correct. So I'm using very simple numbers. So that gives you your accuracy at 75%. Now, what I'll do is I will sit and solve the rest of the paper that I could not solve. Also, an important thing is to solve only genuine attempts, maybe till, let's say, 5 days or 10 days prior to CET. So whatever is that extent, right, I will keep on making only genuine attempts. I will not really do any random marking because that will give you a misleading score. So for now, at least for the next few months, you will have to focus on making only genuine attempts. So let's say you have attempted 120 genuine, there are 80 questions that you have not solved. Now what I'll do is I will sit and solve all these questions. Now you can either solve it in a time limit or without keeping any time limit. That's completely fine. The idea is to understand how much of it you actually know. So let's say now out of those 80 questions that you had skipped, you get 40. Now, why am I putting low accuracy here is because typically these are the questions that you have seen once, but you were not able to solve. So maybe it could be a content issue or these questions were maybe very difficult, right? So hence here the accuracy will be a little lower. So out of 80, let's say you get 40 correct. Accuracy 50%. Now the third part is your potential score. So your actual score is only 90 because that is what you have got. But your potential score is 90 plus 40, which is the part A and the part B that I've written. So your potential is to get 130, but there is a gap of 40 that you can see at this point of time. Of course, we'll then get into analyzing and figuring out, okay, why this gap is there. But for now, I will just write, okay, my potential score is 130. And what I'll also do is make a small target for the next mock. So I'll say, okay, maybe let me try and get about 100 in the next mock. Don't try to get something like 130 in the next because that is not going to happen. So this is a common mistake that people make, wherein they set unrealistic targets. So if you get 90 in one mock, it is very unlikely that you'll be able to hit 130 or more. So it's important that you keep very small incremental targets for yourself. Maybe even 95 looks like a good target for this particular person, right? Now, after this is done, what we'll do is we'll move to the next step, which is reviewing the mock. Again, a very important step, and this is going to be the most time-consuming part of the entire analysis process. So here what we do is, I'm sure all of you are familiar with this particular dashboard. So this is the performance analysis that you see once you take a SimCET. So if you are an enrolled IMS student, you already know this particular part. But if you're not enrolled, maybe you can consider joining that IMS CET test series. So here what you get is you can analyze your performance section-wise, area-wise, topic-wise, difficulty-wise, question-wise, right? So there are various ways in which you can analyze your performance. So the first thing is section-wise analysis. Now here what I'll do is, the first thing that I'll look for is how many attempts I've made. Now that sounds very simple, but I will also be tracking other variables along with that. So attempts, for example, in this particular case, I've taken a student's performance. Abstract reasoning, okay, the student has attempted 21 questions. In logical reasoning, 25 out of 75. So that's not a very great attempt in logical reasoning. Quantitative, 30 attempts out of 50. But okay, the time was more. If you see this, you can see 52 minutes spent to attempt those 30 questions. And VNRC, okay, 32 attempts in 28 minutes, right? So here what I'll have to now then figure out is how many of these questions are correct. And hence, what is my accuracy? So if I look at, let's say, for example, abstract reasoning, 15 correct out of 21. So that's about 71, 72% accuracy that I have in this section. Why is this important? This is important because you need to aim for about 80% accuracy is what I can say. In most of the cases, 80, 85%, if you are there, that's a fantastic spot to be in. The next thing that I will look for is how many marks per minute am I scoring? Now, why is this an important factor, and what should be the aim in terms of a figure in this particular column? Now, your marks per minute should be as close to 1 as possible, or even higher than that. What this tells you is that for a minute that you're spending in the paper, how much are you scoring? So if I'm spending, let's say, 150 minutes, my aim should be to go as close to 1 as possible, so that I'm aiming for 150. And lastly, average time taken per question. Now, what should be the factor for this? You should try to reduce this as much as possible. So I should be trying to reduce this to less than 1, or say somewhere around 0.45 or 0.5, 0.6. That is the aim, right? 45 seconds or about 50 seconds. Those are the things that you can be aiming for. So here, if you see, for example, this person has everything which is more than 1. So that's not really a great place to be in, except VNRC, where it's 0.89. So that's a good place to be at. So aim to reduce this as much as possible. So the sixth column, which is marks per minute, let me try to take it to 1 as much as possible. And average time, let me try to reduce it as much as possible. Okay, so those are the things that you will do at a sectional level. After this, what you will do is you will solve each and every question once again. Now, you must be surprised, why am I asking you to do that? The reason is, once you start doing it, you will realize that there are some mistakes that you're making, and you can categorize those mistakes. At the same time, there are some great things that you're doing, and you can still categorize that as well. So I'll solve all 200 questions. Now, you don't have to do each and every question in very detail. Maybe you already got it right. So just having a cursory look is enough. But the questions that you didn't get, right, or the questions that you got wrong, those are the ones where you should be spending maximum amount of time. Now, once you're done with this, you'll be able to categorize questions. So the first set is questions that you had no clue about. Okay, there's some permutation combination question that appeared, you had no idea. There was something in the verbal reasoning which you had absolutely no idea about. These questions, I want you to take an action on this, which is transferring them to a book that you should maintain. I'm going to call it a formula or concept book. So here, anything that you see new, right, any new concept, trick that you come across, that goes in the formula or the concept book. The next set of questions could be the ones that you got incorrect. And these are the ones that have happened because of a silly mistake, right? Or it could be because of conceptual gaps or some other reason. Now, what is the action on this? This goes to a separate notebook, which is called error log. Now, what is error log? As the word suggests, it is a log which contains your errors. You have to write down what mistakes you're making and why you're making those mistakes. The next is set of questions wherein you are possibly doing it faster or better manner compared to the official method. Because sometimes, let's say, there is an official solution that is given to a problem, but then you realize that, okay, maybe I could have used options, right? Or maybe I could have solved it using a better approximation. These are the questions where you're already better than official method. You don't really have to take any strong action on this. And lastly, the fourth set of questions, wherein you have got the answer right, but your method is longer. Okay, so the question may be demanded only about a minute, but you ended up spending, let's say, 2.5 or 3 minutes to get it right. Let me go through the solution. Let me figure out what am I doing versus what is supposed to be done. Again, the action on these kind of questions is to transfer them to a formula or a concept book. Now, when I say transfer them, right, I'm not saying you have to write down the entire question. What you need to do is write down just in brief, right, what the question was about, what is the method, etc. If there's any shortcut, just make a quick note of that. And lastly, once you're done with this exercise, which is, as I said, the most time consuming, possibly you will take almost the same amount of time that you had spent for the entire mock, right? Maybe it could be even double of that. But this is the most important part, right? And lastly, roadmap. So if you don't figure out where do you want to go, right, you will not be able to reach there. So what I want you to do is work on areas that are pulling your scores down. Now, once you do a thorough analysis, you start realizing that, okay, maybe my problem is parajumbles. Maybe my problem is, let's say, data interpretation. So what I'll do is I will watch either concept videos or the class recording, or I'll just go through the study material that IMS has given. So I'll watch either the class recording from IMS or the pre-recorded videos that are available to students. Let me have a go through the concept once again to understand what it is really, right? The next is to set small targets. As I said, set realistic targets, but also put some deadlines and efforts to achieve those targets. Quantify it as much as possible. So I'll say something like this, that I will solve 30 questions of input output before the next SimCET. This will really help you to drive a particular area in a better manner. And lastly, set a target score, as I said, for the next mock, and also accuracy target. For example, I aim to reach 100 with 80% accuracy on my genuine attempts. Once you do all this, your exercise of mock analysis is complete. To summarize, it is reflect, record, review, and roadmap. If you remember these 4 R's that are there, I'm sure you'll be able to derive the maximum benefit from all the SimCETs and the mock tests that you're taking. You can apply the same principle for any sectional test or a topic-wise test that you're taking, and it will really help. I hope this video has helped. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, I suggest you do that right away. We are going to bring a lot of better content to you guys and will help you prepare for CET and crack it. Okay, so once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.